Hello, hello, hello. Yes, red. Whew. I've been writing all day. Hello, Melanie. Hey, Karen. Hello, Nikki. Hey, Pastelina Pink. Hey, Karen. Hello, Shirley. Hey, Nana Sherry. Hello, Mary. Hello, Delia. Hey, Julie. Hello, Palm. Hello, Anne. Hey, Bossman. Red is one of my favorite colors. I absolutely love it. Welcome in. Tonight is fiction night. Tonight is the Crimson Queen. Hey, Ray Bab. Hello, Miss Gia. Natasha Bacon. Hello, Karen. Hello over in YouTube. Welcome in, come on in, Vampire Night. Do you know someone that likes vampires? Tell them about Crimson Queen. Let's start sharing the live. 5 friends, 10 friends, 15, 20. Let's start sharing it. That's how it's gonna get out. Hello, Eric. Hello, Shell. Thank you for sharing to the Apple IP, Julie. Empire Waste. Red. all day. Thank you, Pastelina Pink. Thank you, Magic Moon. Thank you. Hello, Beach Nut. I'm a Beach Nut too. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, thank you. Minutes. Love that pin, Paul. That's lovely. Hello, Siamese. Hello, Angie. Hello, Rigdon Rowe. Welcome in, everyone. Hey, Zoe Ann. Hello, Rebecca Nichols. Hello, Tardak. No, I closed out of it on purpose. It was just a second. We should be good now. Hello, Martha Reagan. Yep, we're good, Melanie. We're good. Welcome in, Night Dwellers. Who's ready for a vampire night? I'm trying to leave the eye alone. I promise. I'm trying. It was itching very badly today, but I was like, no, I'm not touching it. I didn't know that it was going to last as long as it has. I know you are, Nana, and I appreciate it. Hello, Thorn. Why, thank you. 1 minute. It has, what is it, 2 weeks, I think? Jeffrey, thank you for the follow. Jeffrey, do you like scary stories? Hello, just followed you. I haven't. I've just been, when it gets really, really bad and I don't want to scratch it, I'll put like a cold compress on it or a hot compress, and that seems to help. Welcome in. I am Bryn Morgan, your host of Twisted Tales Live. I am also a horror author and a lover and a teller of all things scary. Tonight is fiction night. Tonight I am sharing my creation, The Crimson Queen, the second in this series. The first was Blood in the Snow, and now is The Crimson Queen. Because of popular demand, I have decided to continue the story. But first, welcome to the Night Realm. I am the Night Queen. You are my night dwellers, and it is story time. First, let's get into story mode, shall we? Follow along. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Oh no. We don't want to lock our doors tonight. You do want to light a candle to create ambience, right? Pull your curtains nice and tight. Grab a fan to keep the temperature low. And let's begin The Crimson Queen. The Covenant of Blood. Let me see in the comments. I'm ready. The chamber still smelled of wine and roses from the feast. The scent of crushed petals lingering in the silken canopy of the bed. Dawn began to bleed faint gold into the room. But Ella and Ian belonged to the night, to shadows and flame. The world outside no longer existed, only the hunger, the fire, the bodies that could never get close enough. Ella stirred first, bare skin sliding against the cool sheets, her body arching like a cat stretching after a feast. Ian was awake long before her, his gaze heavy, his eyes smoldering as though the night itself burned inside of him. He watched her, the curve of her hip, the faint silver scars on her shoulders and back. He had never loved anyone as he loved this woman. He touched her shoulder softly, and she moaned. Then he touched her collarbone, slowly tracing down to the swell of her breast, his fingers worshipful, yet claiming at the same time. His voice was deep and husky as he said, "You are the most dangerous thing I've ever touched." His voice was thick with desire. Ella languidly smiled, lips curling into something sinful. "I am dangerous, and yet you keep touching me." His mouth descended to hers before she could tease him further. Their kiss was unhurried at first, soft lips, exploring tongues, breaths mingling, but it ignited quickly, as it always did between Ian and Ella, heat spreading between them like wildfire. Ian rolled her beneath him, pressing her wrist into the mattress, pinning her there, his weight heavy and commanding. His kiss deepened, roughened, until Ella gasped into his mouth, her thighs tightening around his hips. "I want all of you," he growled, his teeth grazing her bottom lip. "You already have me," she whispered back, her voice broken silk. "What else can I give you that you don't already have?" His lips traveled to her throat, leaving wet trails of kisses, biting lightly at her pale skin as his hands roamed freely down her body. Ella arched against him, her moans filling the chamber, the sound of pure, unrestrained surrender. Ian's mouth lingered at her pulse, hot breath fanning her skin as his fangs protruded. "Do you remember the night I took you?" As clear as day. They both remembered back to that chase when Ian was waiting at the bottom of the stairs as Ella tried to escape Blackstone Manor. The first time he tasted her blood. The first time he turned her into a vampire. What she was now. she whispered, her nails digging into his back. Bite me, mark me, take me. And he did. His fangs pierced her flesh, sinking into her neck. A cry tore from Ella's lips, half pain, half ecstasy. Her back arched sharply as he drank, her body trembling beneath him. The taste of her blood lit him aflame, different than it was the first time. His hunger was insatiable, every pull from her vein, binding him deeper. She gasped his name, clutching at him, torn between pleasure and surrender. But Ella was no fragile queen to be consumed. With sudden strength she twisted, rolling Ian onto his back. In an instant she straddled him, pinning him as he had pinned her. Her hair fell like a pale curtain around them, her eyes glowing with dangerous violet fire. Now, she purred, pressing her lips to his throat. It's my turn. Her fangs sank in. Ian let out a guttural growl, his hand seizing her hips, his body jerking as the pain and pleasure consumed him. Ella drank deeply. She drank her fill. Her lips stained crimson, moaning against his skin as his blood filled her mouth. Their blood ignited and the room itself seemed to tremble. The air thickened, humming with raw power. Candles flared, shadows rippled, then with a sudden surge, their entwined bodies lifted from the bed. They floated together in the center of the chamber, locked in the ecstasy of blood and desire. Rolling in the air like lovers carried by a storm. Ian's hand slid up her thighs, gripping, guiding, forcing her down onto him with a groan that shook through both of them. Their cries mingled, echoing against stone walls as the power of their covenant burned. Ella's head fell back, her mouth red with his blood, her body trembling with pleasure as he thrust upward, hard and unyielding. You're mine, Ian growled, biting her, his fangs sinking in again. She gasped, shuddering, nails clawing at his chest. No, I'm yours and you are mine. Her mouth crushed to his, copper sweet with blood. Their kiss messy, devouring. Her body rocked against him midair, every movement an electric shiver of pleasure and power. Ian groaned, losing himself beneath her dominance, until with a sudden surge, he seized her thighs, flipped her midair, and rolled them both downward. They crashed onto the bed, the canopy shaking violently as they landed, bodies still entwined. Ella clawed at him, arching into him, her cries sharp, guttural, hungry. Ian pinned her wrist again, growling into her ear, his pace ruthless. Each movement sent waves of ecstasy through her. She laughed through her moans, breathless and wild. You think you have control of me, Ian? He kissed her hard, biting her lip until it bled. I know I do. Ella's eyes flared violent fire. With a final surge of strength, she broke free, rolling them over once more, her body straddling his, her mouth locking on his throat as she drank and moved against him with merciless rhythm. Ian roared, his hands digging bruises into her hips as he surrendered fully to her power, his body trembling beneath her command. They were lost to it. Blood, lust, fire, power. queen and king, bound by flesh and covenant, locked in the kind of ecstasy only immortals could bear. The castle itself seemed to pulse with their cries, as if the stones knew that a new covenant had been sealed. When at last they collapsed together, breathless, trembling, slick with blood and sweat, Ian cupped her face, his lips finding hers in one final reverent kiss. "You are mine, Ella," he whispered against her mouth. Her tongue flicked over his lips, tasting his blood one last time. "And you are mine, Ian, forever." And for a long while there was nothing but their breath, their bodies still tangled, the chamber soaked in their scent, their blood, and their power. The castle awakens. The castle breathed. Blackstone, ancient and immortal, as the blood that fed its walls was never silent for long. But this morning it stirred with a different heartbeat. The crimson moon still hung swollen and low over the spires, bleeding its scarlet light across the fortress stones. Snow drifted from the heavens, as it always did here, thick, glittering, endless, dusting the ramparts, the high balconies, the narrow courtyards. There was no true daylight in this realm, only the glow of the fire and the crimson moon, crimson and cold. But within, the castle was alive. Today was Allegiance Day. The clans, the lords and ladies, were now pledged fealty to Ella Snow. Great bronze doors creaked open as servants hurried through the corridors with arms full of silks and banners. Fires were stoked in the high hearths, flames roaring as they too wished to herald the new sovereigns. The scent of burning cedar and iron filled the air. Everywhere, voices rose in echoes, maids gossiping, soldiers tightening their armor, courtiers whispering behind cloved hands. And at the center of it all was Miss Adelbaum. Her skirts rustled like thunder as she stormed down the main corridor, berating a young page for carrying the ceremonial chalice with his left hand instead of his right. "Do you want to curse the coronation, boy?" she snapped, snatching the vessel away. "Everything must be perfect. Perfect! Perfect! The queen will accept nothing less. Now get out of here!" The boy bowed frantically, tripping over his boots as he scurried away. Adelbaum muttered beneath her breath, clutching the gleaming silver chalice to her chest like a sacred relic. And indeed it was. It would hold the blood of the lords and ladies and the clans. Her eyes darted from corner to corner, quick as a hawk, making sure that every sconce burned bright, every drapery fell in perfect line, every candle flickered with devotion to its flame. Up the grand staircase, attendants draped heavy crimson banners embroidered with Ella's seagull, a crown entwined with roses and thorns, Fresh snowflakes drifted through the arrow-slit windows, catching in their hair as they worked, and they hummed. It was a happy day. Others scurried to polish the obsidian floors until they reflected torchlight like black mirrors. The great hall itself thrummed with anticipation. Long tables were already laden with gollops, pitchers of dark wine, plates of venison and black bread. Musicians turned their stringed instruments in the corner, the low notes reverberating against vaulted ceilings, painted with forgotten constellations. Knights stood at attention near the dais, their swords gleaming, their eyes watchful for the moment that they would kneel. The castle whispered the name, the same word in every tongue, through every chamber. Queen Elenice. Queen Elenice. Queen Elenice. And yet, beneath all the grandeur, a current of unease slid. For all the preparation, all the spectacle, Blackstone Castle had never known a queen like Ella Snow. The courtiers spoke her name with reverence, but their eyes betrayed just a flicker of fear. Everyone remembered the night that she had beheaded Aidan Blackstone in front of the clans. Some were loyal, eager to kneel before her throne. Others were hesitant, uncertain of what her reign would mean beneath an unending crimson sky. Still, the castle pulsed with excitement as if its very stones leaned forward to witness the dawn of this reign. And what a reign it would be. Outside, the snow thickened, the crimson moon bled on. The castle's heartbeat quickened with every passing moment. Blackstone had awakened not to another day of ritual and routine, but to a day that would change the course of its history. This was the day the clans of the Rome, ancient houses bound by blood, magic, and oath, would come forth and pledge their fealty to the Crimson Queen and her king. And if they did not, there would be consequences. The rule was old as the stones themselves. To refuse was rebellion. To stand in silence, to withhold the oath, was to declare war against the throne. No matter how veiled in politics or hesitation, such defiance was punishable by fire, by sword, by extinction. Blackstone had no mercy for disloyalty. The corridors were thick with the weight of this knowledge. Attendants whispered in hurried tones about which clans would kneel with eager hearts and which would drag their feet, or indeed, which ones would not bow at all. Their names hissed through the air like blades. House Velmar, proud and unpredictable. House Draven, loyal but always calculating. The Sable-born, with their secretive rites, and darker still, there were those who had not sent word at all, and not even appeared at the coronation and the wedding. That would be dealt with. Miss Adelbaum was beside herself, still storming about. Her sharp voice echoed through the vaulted halls as she barked out orders at terrified pages. The banners must be unfurled before the first clan enters. And where are the heralds? Do you expect the queen to wait while you stumble over introductions? Idiots! All of you! If you do not calm down, you're going to pass out, Miss Adelbaum. She knew that voice well, a voice of peace, a voice of reason. She turned. Lady Seraphina, in all of her beautiful glory, now the consort to the Queen's son. It just has to be perfect, and it will be. Calm yourself. You do a wonderful job. You truly do. But calm yourself. Everything will go off without a hitch. I promise. The great hall transformed before their eyes into a theater of power. The long black stone dais was draped in crimson silk, and above it hung Ella's new seagull, roses twisted with thorns, the crown gleaming in the center. Beneath 2 thrones were set, one wrought of iron and obsidian for Ian Blackstone, the other of dark wood, inlaid with silver and garnets for Ella, carved with roses that bled down its arms like petals falling. Knights lined the hall, their armor polished to a mirror shine, their swords drawn below it in salute. Torches hissed in their sconces, filling the space with golden flame, shadows stretching across vaulted ceilings like specters. Every corner of the hall was alive with motion. Musicians rehearsing low, somber notes, heralds preparing scrolls of lineage, servants rushing with goblets and wine, and still beneath it all the whispers lingered. Who will bend the knee? And who will not? The pledging was not mere ceremony. Each lord and lady would kneel before Ella and Ian, cut their palm, and press their blood upon the chalice of fealty. To pledge was to bind oneself in blood, in life, in death. To refuse was to condemn one's house to ruin. The weight of the crimson moon pressed down, painting every stone with its light. Snow fell harder outside the towering windows, as though the world itself mourned for those who might not kneel. In the high corridors above, courtiers and noble women leaned over railings, their silks whispering as they whispered among themselves, excitement warred with unease, loyalty with doubt. But every step, every sound, every word spoke the same truth. This was the day the Crimson Queen would claim her power, not just in passion, not just in blood, but in rule. The oath of fealty. The great hall of Blackstone pulsed with life. The crimson moon pressed its glow through the stained glass windows, bathing the obsidian floor in liquid red. Snowflakes drifted against the glass panes, muffling the world outside. Inside, however, the air was alive, thick with fire smoke, beeswax, candles, the metallic ting of polished on armor, the flicker of hundreds of flames threw restless shadows across the vaulted ceiling, where carved gargoyles seemed to lean closer to watch the ceremony. Silks rustled, boots rang on stone, The distant perfume of crushed roses mingled with the musk of iron and leather. Nobles murmured, courtiers whispered, every sound swallowed and amplified by the hall's cavernous echo. The taste of anticipation was on every tongue, sharp, metallic, like blood itself. And at the center of it all, she sat, Ella Snow. Her hair, pale as spun frost, gleamed in the torchlight, cascading over her crimson gown like moonlight over blood. Her crown rested against her brow, cool iron inlaid with garnet stones that glowed as if lit from within. Her skin was luminous, a parlor kissed by shadows, her lips the color of crushed berries. She sat utterly still, utterly sovereign, eyes glacial yet burning, a queen made flesh. Beside her stood Ian, and then with a breath that seemed to still the whole, he moved. The king of Blackstone dropped to one knee before his queen. Gasp rippled like wind across the chamber. Cloaks swished as nobles leaned forward to witness the unthinkable. The king himself bending the knee to a woman? Ian's armor creaked as he bowed low, his forehead nearly touching the cold stone. The scent of steel and leather clung to him, mingling with the faint musk of his sin. Sharp and intoxicating, his voice rumbled low, carrying through the hall like distant thunder. I bow the knee to you, Ella of House Snow, my queen, my eternal, my blood, my breath, my life are yours. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the crackle of torches seemed to fade for a moment. The weight of it pressed against every chest, until Ella rose slightly from her throne and laid her hand, cool, pale, commanding, upon his bowed head. Her words unfurled like silk and iron entwined. I accept your allegiance. Rise, my king, stand forever at my side. When Ian stood again, the chamber seemed to exhale as if it had been holding its breath. The herald's staff struck the floor, sharp as a heartbeat. Let the pledges begin. Seraphina, Dowager Lady of Blackstone. The courtiers parted as Seraphina swept forward. She was elegance wrapped in shadow, her gown of deep violet velvet trailing against the stones, embroidered with silver thread that shimmered like frost. Jewels gleamed at her throat, her perfume heavy with myrrh and lilac, her eyes cold and assessing, but fixed upon Ella as she approached. The air grew taut. Every gaze followed Seraphina as she ascended the steps and sank to her knees before her daughter-in-law. The fabric of her gown whispered like waves against the shore. What have you to say, Dowager Lady Seraphina of Blackstone? The ceremonial dagger was offered. She took it without hesitation, her rings clicking softly against its hilt. The blade kissed her palm, and the scent of her blood, warm, coppery, and sharp, rose into the hole. She pressed her hand to the silver chalice at Ella's feet, staining it red. Her voice rang out, clear and resonant. I, Seraphina of Blackstone, bow the knee to you, Ella Snow. I pledge my loyalty my fealty, my very blood, my very life to my queen. Her words were dutiful. Ella inclined her head with a sharp, sharp look, her pale hair shimmering like frost in firelight. Rise, Lady Seraphina. The herald struck the staff again. Lord Maelor Vane. The chamber stirred. Maelor strode forward, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed completely in black. His silver-white hair hung to his waist. His eyes were Arctic blue. The scent of oiled leather and cold air clinging to his furs. His armor gleamed like burnished steel, his boots echoing on the obsidian floor. He knelt with a heavy thud, his voice rough. What have you to say, Lord Maelor Vane? I, Maelor Vane, pledge my life, my sword, and my honor to the Crimson Queen. He cut his palm and bled into the chalice. The chalice pulsed, glowing faintly. Ella rose, the rustle of her gown like the hiss of flames. She placed her cool hand upon his bowed head. Her voice was velvet and blade as she spoke words that made the hall shiver. Maelor Vane, it has not been forgotten that you were by my husband's side when I was captured by Lord Volton. Your allegiance will not go unrewarded. You stood with Ian when I was wrenched from him by the treachery of that monster. The name struck like lightning. A chill rippled through the hall, whispers biting the air. No one had forgotten about Lord Eric Volton. For your loyalty, your courage, and your sacrifice, I name you Lord Protector of Blackstone. He now bears this title, and let none doubt it. Rise, Lord Protector of Blackstone Castle. Maelor rose arrogantly and proudly. The hall erupted in gasps and murmurs, but Maelor bowed his head lower, his voice hoarse. My queen. The herald called again, Nearer! Nearer advanced, crimson cloak flowing behind her, the scent of iron and leather clinging to her like a second skin. She was barefoot, as she always was. Her eyes blazed with devotion. Her long, pale hair with streaks of red, blazing like fire. What have you to say, Nearer? I, Nearer, pledge my blade, my blood, and my life to the Crimson Queen. Her eyes blazed with devotion as she knelt, cutting her palm, the blood dripping hot into the chalice. Ella stepped forward, her pale hair glowing like a halo of winter light, as she raised Nearer's chin with her hand. Her word rang with command. Let all hear. Nearer, you fought at Ian's side, and by your hand I was delivered from the grasp of Lord Volton. For this, I name you Commander of the Crimson Guard. My shield, My fury, my loyal blade, take your place beside me. The torches flared, their flames leaping as though in answer. Neera's breath trembled, her lips whispering, and she bowed. My queen. One by one, the nobles followed. Boots struck stone, daggers cut skin. The sharp scent of blood grew stronger, coppery and metallic, filling the air until it was thick enough to taste. The chalice brimmed with oath after oath, for hour after hour, glowing with the power of every vow, the taste of loyalty and iron heavy on the tongue. Cloaks swished, silks rustled, torches hissed, the senses of the whole consumed by devotion. At last, the herald lowered his staff. The pledges were complete. Every family, every house had bowed. Wait. The pledges were not complete. All save one. Ian's voice cut through the silence, deep and commanding, the edge of steel in it. Where is Lilibet? The hall stilled. The smell of blood, smoke, and wax seemed to hang heavier. Every eye turned toward Seraphina, still standing near the dais. Every family member was bound by this rite. Every bloodline must kneel. But Lilibet had not come. The silence was suffocating, thick as falling snow. The silence after Ian's question was a living thing, thick, pressing, heavy as the falling snow outside. The hall full of nobles and courtiers shifted uneasily, silks whispering, boots scraping faintly on stone. Torches crackled, the scent of wax and smoke curling in the air. It was then that Miss Saddlebaum moved. She was not a woman to seek attention, yet her step was swift, purposeful, her skirts rustling like restless wings as she hurried from the dais. The courtiers parted for her, whispering her name as she swept down the aisle and out the side door. Adelbaum had always carried a soft place in her heart for Lilibet, although at times she wondered why. Softer than Seraphina ever allowed, gentler than most in Blackstone dared. Lilibet was conniving and sneaky, but she loved her as she would a daughter. And now, with all eyes on the absent, she alone carried the weight of coaxing her back into duty. The corridors outside the great hall were colder, darker, the scent of stone and old ash hanging heavy. She climbed the winding stair, winded, her hand brushing the frost-kissed rail. At last she reached Lilibet's chamber and rapped softly against the dark oak door. Lilibet! Lilibet! Come in, came the voice from within, sharp, impatient. Miss Saddlebaum entered. The chamber was dim, the only light a cluster of candles burning low. Lilibet sat near the window, the red glow of the crimson moon pouring over her pale face. Her hair, dark as midnight, framed her features in a wild cascade. She turned slowly, her eyes flashing with something dangerous. What is your reason for being here, Miss Adelbaum? You must come, Adelbaum urged gently, clasping her hands. It's the day of fealty. You're supposed to swear allegiance to the Queen. Every soul has bent the knee to Queen Alella. Every family sworn but you. You cannot stand apart, Lilibet. If you do not, it will be seen as rebellion, and there is no telling what will happen to you. Cease. She had no idea how much rage boiled beneath Lilibet's stillness. Lilibet's lips curved in the faintest smile, though there was no warmth to it. She had no intentions of pledging allegiance to Ella Snow at all. She didn't. Her voice was smooth, low, laced with venom she kept hidden from Adelbaum's kind gaze. Rebellion. She thought better of it. No, I'm not so foolish as to invite death upon my house. She rose in a sweep of red velvet, her gown spilling across the stone like liquid flame. She told Adelbaum none of her secrets or her thoughts. I will do what must be done. And then she thought to herself, but not for loyalty, for time, for calculation, for what will come. She began to walk toward the door. What are you doing? I am going down. Not in crimson red. The Queen herself is wearing crimson. Well, then she will have a twin, won't she? Let us go. Miss Adelbaum carefully approached Lilibet and followed her down the stairs. The doors of the great hall creaked open. Every head turned. Lilibet Blackstone entered. Her gown of crimson velvet shimmered with every step, the fabric whispering over the black stone floor. People watched her, red glitter jewels at her throat and wrist, her great gown red as the Queen's herself, each movement deliberate, poised. The air thickened with the scent of rose oil and velvet smoke as she passed, and the weights of hundreds of stairs followed her. She could feel them, every single one. Ian's eyes, sharp and storm dark, burning into her with sacred rage. Seraphina, her mother's unreadable but unyielding, and Ella, the pale, pale queen upon the throne, her frost blonde hair gleaming in the torchlight, her gaze colder than snow and hotter than fire all at once. The great lady, Lilibet Blackstone, of the House of Blackstone, the heralder announced. Lilibet walked the length of the hall, each step echoing. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint hiss of torches and the metallic ting of blood still lingering in the air. At the foot of the dais she stopped, slowly with a grace that was half mockery, half majesty. She bent her knee, her gown pulled around her like spilled wine. Ella stepped forward. Ian held her hand. What say you, Lilibet Blackstone? I, Lilibet of Blackstone, pledge my blood to the Crimson Queen. Silver gray eyes matched blue fire. The dagger was given. She drew it across her fingers, the sting sharp, the blood warm, metallic on her tongue as she pressed it to the chalice. Her voice carried calm and clipped. There. It is done. There was a hush. The hall exhaled as she rose, already turning to leave, until Ella's hand shot out, cool and commanding, catching hers. Stand, Ella said. Her voice rang clear, echoing to the rafters. She released Ian's hand and drew Lilibet closer, her pale hair shimmering in the firelight, her lips brushing Lilibet's cheeks one after the other in the old ritual kiss. My sister. My blood. My family. The hall erupted in murmurs, surprise, awe, suspicion, bowing. Lilibet, however, did not bow. She stood stiff in Ella's grasp, her silver eyes locked on the Queen's, and when Ella released her, Lilibet's glare was a blade, her silence louder than any vow she might have spoken. The crimson moon bled through the windows, and the court felt the chill of a storm yet to come. Let's go to an intermission. Take a breather, and when we return, I will finish the rest of the Crimson Queen. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, hope you love little butterfly. Hello, Pamela. Elisa Dawn, thank you for the follow, my love. Hello, Melissa. Hey, XJ. I think I said hi, but I'm saying it again. Hello, Anita. Hey, Tigger. Hello, Roger. Let's keep sharing. Hello, Lulu. Oh, thank you, Lulu. That's so kind. Oh, most definitely, Palm. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. Yes, I love red. You're glued to your phone? Do you think that, don't you just wish that Ellen knew what was brewing? Thank you, Lulu. Oh, I love the corgi. Thank you, thank you. Let's start sharing the live. Thank you so much, Anita. Share it with 5 friends, 10 friends. How many of your friends you got on TikTok? Share it out, if you would, please. We'll start in 2 minutes. Hello, Sandra. How are you? Oh, thank you. We will continue tonight right into the continued reading of the Crimson Queen. If you are just coming in, you are in the Night Room. I am the Night Queen, and this is my Night Dwellers. My name is Brie Morgan, and I am a horror author. I'm also a teller of scary stories. Tonight, I am sharing with you my creation, the Crimson Queen. Do you like vampires? Let me know when you're ready. Okay. The goblet was brimming with blood. The silver chalice of fealty sat at the foot of the dais, filled beyond measure with the blood of every clan, every house, every servant who had bent the knee. The thick metallic scent hung heavy in the air, copper and salt mingling with the perfume of wax and smoke. Its surface trembled faintly, the glow of torchlight painting it a deep, throbbing red. The room itself seemed to lean toward it. Ella rose from the throne, her pale blonde hair gleaming like threads of frost under the torches, her crown casting shards of garnet light across her brow. Ian's hand was locked in hers, steady, grounding, a king's strength for his queen. No one was exactly sure what would happen when Ella drank the blood of the clans. Her gaze swept the hall, her voice unspoken but understood. The next act of her reign was to drink, to claim what had been pledged, to seal it with blood. She lifted the chalice, the hall hushed, breath held, the silence broken only by the faint drip of blood spilling over its rim. Ella raised it higher, her lips parting to drink. And at that moment, the doors thundered open. Every head turned as the great bronze doors of Blackstone Castle groaned upon their hinges. The rush of cold air swept in, stirring silks and banners, rattling the torches in their sconces. And then she appeared. She stepped through the threshold like a vision carved in emerald fire. Her gown of deep green shimmered with every ripple of movement, clinging and flowing in turns as though the fabric itself obeyed her will. Her dark hair poured like a river of midnight over her shoulders, framing a face so beautiful it stole the breath from the whole. Her eyes, also green, liquid, arresting, unknowable, caught and held every gaze until the chamber itself seemed spellbound. No herald announced her, for she had not said her name. She needed none. Her presence was its own declaration. The crowd parted before her like water fleeing a blade. Murmurs swelled, hushed, then swelled again, rolling through the air in waves. She walked unhurried, her heels clicking steadily upon the obsidian floor, her perfume drifting with her, a blend of roses and smoke, alluring, suffocating, unforgettable. The beautiful woman stopped at the foot of the dais. Slowly, she bowed low before Ella on one knee, her emerald gown pulling around her like spilled emerald water. Her voice, when it came, was velvet and thunder, wrapping around the silence. I pledge my loyalty to you, Crimson Queen, my allegiance, my fealty, my blood, my life are all yours. The words carried, soft and deep, and for a moment the hall was transfixed. Who was this woman? Ella, still holding Ian's hand, rose from her throne. Her frost-pale hair shimmered, her crown glittering. She studied the woman before her, tilted her head, then extended her command in a voice of steel. Rise. The woman straightened, her gaze like molten glass, her beauty so vivid it seemed unreal. Ella's eyes narrowed slightly. And where do you hail from? What house bears your name? The pulse was deliberate. The court leaned forward, breathless. Her lips curved, her words dropped like stones into the silence. I am of House Strathmore. The reaction was instant. A stir shot through the throne room, gasps, sharp whispers, silks rustling like restless wings. House Strathmore. The name itself carried weight, heavy with whispered rumors, shadows of dark magic, secrets never spoken aloud. Several lords shifted uneasily, glancing at one another. A lady stifled a gasp with her hand. Others simply stared, pale and wide-eyed. Your name, House of Strathmore. Ella seemed unmoved, her pale gaze softened with the faintest intrigue. Calitza Strathmore, Lady Calitza Strathmore, my lady, my queen. Welcome to my court, Calitza Strathmore, Lady Calitza Strathmore. Where do you hail? Italy. Her voice rang regal, untroubled. Ella dismissed her with the calm grace of a queen who had never yet known fear in her reign. Calitza bowed once more. And then she turned and bowed to the spectators. She began her slow walk down the throne room's length, every step measured, every fold of emerald silk whispering against the black stone. The crowd parted for her without a word, heads bowed, eyes averted. House Strathmore was not a good name, yet every gaze slid back to her when they thought they would not be called. Seraphina in the far corner watched her, her heart locked in her throat. Her eyes narrowed as she peered closer, looking at Calitza Strathmore. Her memory clawing forward, and then it stuck. Yes, she had seen Calitza before. One night, long ago, when Aidan still lived. She had passed his chambers in silence and seen him pull this very woman into his embrace. Laughter, kisses, shadows against the firelight, the intimacy of lovers. Calitza Strathmore had been Aidan Blackstone's mistress. The recognition chilled her to the marrow. She clenched her hands, the urge to cry out rising, but she bit it back. Ella was queen now. Queens must choose for themselves. But dread gnawed at her bones. On the opposite side of the chamber, Nera trembled. From the moment that the woman, Calitza, had entered, Nera's breath had faltered, her body recoiling as if from a presence that was too dark to face. Her knees threatened to give way, and at last she turned, retreating into shadow. She pressed herself behind a pillar, resting her head, struggling to steady her lungs, her crimson cloak pulled close as though it might shield her. Maelor Vane followed swiftly, his heavy steps softening as he reached her side. He caught her arm, steadying her as she shook violently. His voice was low and urgent. Nera, what is it? What has you undone like this? She looked at him, eyes wide, pupils blown, her voice a whisper of dread. It's here. Maelor frowned. What's here? Who? Nera shook her head violently, her words spilling like broken glass. The shadow. The shadow. I saw her the night the witches chose Ella. It's her. It's her. Her trembling worsened, her teeth chattering as though ice coursed through her veins. Maelor's arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, his voice fierce but gentle. You're shaking apart, Nera. Hold on to me. But Nera barely heard him. Calitza's emerald gown whispered as she moved, her heels clicking in the silence. And then, as she neared the pillar, she stopped. The witch was there. She could smell her. She could see her. The air froze. Nera's body seized, her trembling turning violent, her breath torn from her lungs. Calitza stood still, raised her head, and tilted it ever so slightly, as though she could see through the stone. Her voice was not spoken aloud. It poured into Nira's mind, black and suffocating. Yes, that's right, witch. Nira's heart lurched. You should be shaking. We've met before. Nira's vision blurred, her pulse thundering in her skull. I am the shadow, the one you saw. I bring death with me. Death to Blackstone Manor. Death to Ella Snow. Death, witch. The words crashed over Nira like waves of ice, each symbol clawing deeper into her soul. I see you, just as you saw me. We will meet again. A laugh followed, low, rich, silken. A laugh that vibrated through Nira's bones, mocking, merciless. Her knees buckled, she collapsed, crumpling into Maelor's arms. Nira! He cried, clutching her, his strong hand steadying her limp form. He scooped her into his arms, his face dark with fury and fear. Kalitza moved again, like a serpent. Without looking back, she resumed her walk, the folds of her gown trailing like green fire. The crowd parted once more, silent, cowed, until she vanished through the bronze doors. The echo of her steps lingered long after she was gone, and in the corner of the throne room, Seraphina closed her eyes, a whisper of memory chilling her blood. Aiden's mistress, the shadow in his arms, the ruin he once loved. On the dais, Ella sat tall, unshaken, but in Maelor's arms, Nira lay pale and unconscious, her lips trembling with the last word she had managed to gasp. She will destroy us all. Chapter 3, The Chalice of Blood. The chalice overflowed. The silver goblet at Ella's feet was no longer a vessel, but a living heart, brimming and spilling with the lifeblood of Blackstone's clans. The blood glistened thick and dark, the glow of torches settling its surface alive with shades of crimson and black. It pulsed faintly as though stirred by an unseen breath, the scent of copper and iron filling every corner of the throne room until the air itself was heavy with it. Every clan had bent the knee, every palm had bled, every vow had been sealed. Everyone had joined. The rest, a final hypnotic offering that made the chalice tremble with some deeper resonance. Now, the moment had come. Ella rose from her throne, her pale blonde hair catching the firelight in threads of molten silver. The crown upon her brow glimmered with garnet fire, and in her hand she held Aeon's, his grip strong and steady, leading her and lending her the raker of his presence as she stepped forward. I am here. I will catch you if you fall. The herald's stab struck the stone floor, ringing through the vaulted hall. Behold the Crimson Queen, who shall drink the blood of her kingdom. The hall erupted in murmurs, then hushed as Ella bent low, lifting the chalice in both hands. Its weight was immense, not merely the weight of silver, but the weight of oaths, of history, of power itself. Drops of blood spilled over her fingers, warm and sticky. Her fangs extended, staining her pale skin in rivulets of crimson. She raised it high. Gasp rippled throughout the crowd. Some bowed their heads. Some were unable to look. Others craned forward, eyes wide, desperate not to miss a single breath of what was about to unfold. Ella's voice, soft but carrying, broke the silence. By your blood, you have bound yourselves to me. By this blood, I bind myself to you. And by this blood, I become what no queen has ever been. Then with unflinching grace, she drank. The blood touched her lips, hot and thick, metallic and sharp. It coated her tongue, her throat, sliding down into her body with the weight of molten iron. The taste was overwhelming, copper and salt, fire and ash, as though every oath carried its own flavor. She drank deeply, the chalice tilting higher, the blood pouring into her until her mouth, her chin, her throat gleamed wet with it. The room shuddered. Torches flared, flames lifting twice their height. The obsidian floor seemed to hum, a deep vibration thrumming beneath boots and slippers alike. The air itself thickened, charged as if the crimson moon pressed closer to watch. Ella's body convulsed once, twice, her hand clutching Ian's with fierce strength. She looked to him. He stood firm, his jaw tight, his eyes burning as he watched her. She straightened slowly, ever so slowly, her chest rising as though she inhaled the very essence of power. Her eyes snapped open. No longer blue, glowing, but blazing with radiant fire, shifting hues of scarlet, silver, and midnight. Her skin gleamed luminous as moonlit marble, her veins glowing faintly beneath it as if lit from within. The blood had become her. A gust of wind swept through the chamber, though no door had opened. The banners lining the walls whipped violently, the music of their fabric filling the silence. Courtiers gasped, clutching at one another as Ella lifted her arms, the chalice falling empty to the floor with a ringing clang, blood pouring down her chin. Her voice came layered, resonant, as though more than one tongue spoke through her now. I am your queen. I am your covenant. By your blood I am risen. By your vows I am eternal. Her gown billowed, though no hand touched it. Her hair lifted as though stirred by invisible currents. Strands of pale silver swirling around her like a halo. Sparks of light, crimson, violet, black, rippled across her skin, crawling like lightning. She took one step forward, and the obsidian floor crackled faintly beneath her heel. Another step, and the torches bent toward her, their flames bowing to the queen. Gasp filled the room, all terror, reverence. Some nobles dropped again to their knees unbidden, trembling. Ones that had never trembled before, trembled now. Servants pressed their foreheads to the stone. Even seasoned warriors shifted uneasily, their eyes wide. Ella raised her hand and the air obeyed. The banners stilled instantly. The flames froze mid-flicker, then flared all at once at her silent command. The blood of the clans sang in her veins, a symphony of power. She could feel their strengths, aerial vampires, mind-bending vampires. The flames froze again, their lives bound to her like threads in a tapestry. Every breath she drew made her stronger, taller, brighter. She was no longer Ella Snow, the girl who had been chosen. She was the Crimson Queen entire, forged of devotion, bound in blood, crowned by fear and the love of her husband. Ian's hand still clutched hers, but for the first time, his eyes betrayed a flicker of awe, of something like worship, something like fear. Ella turned slowly, her glowing gaze sweeping the hall. "You are mine," she declared, her voice thunder and silk. "Your blood is mine, your strength is mine, and through me, this realm shall never fall." The silence that followed was absolute. The court stared, mouths agape, hearts hammering, as if they had witnessed not merely a queen, dare say the birth of a goddess. Ella's pale lips curved in the faintest of smiles. The transformation was complete. A foot in the door. The throne room still thundered with chants of Crimson Queen as Ella hovered above her court, her radiance bathing them in awe. The sound carried even beyond the great bronze doors, spilling into the corridors like the tide. But outside, in the vast and silent great hall, Kalitza stood alone. The torches burned lower here, their flames a softer glow, shadows pooling between the marble columns. Snow whispered faintly against the high windows, crimson light bleeding through the glass to paint her emerald gown in hues of blood and fire. She stood perfectly still, her back straight, her hands folded gracefully before her. Only her lips moved, curving upward into a smile. It was not the kind of smile born of joy, but of victory, subtle, knowing, edged with hunger. The throne was not hers, not yet, but one foot in the door was all she needed. She had bent the knee, spilled her blood into the chalice, spoken her oath, and the queen, radiant, foolish in her certainty, had welcomed her. A warm smile, a gracious dismissal, no suspicion at all, no caution. This was her first move. Kalitza's eyes gleamed in the low light, like a serpent's. She had infiltrated softly with grace and beauty. Infiltration was easy. With loyalty on her lips and poison hidden beneath, the court had parted for her. The queen had spoken her name. The people had seen her pledge. And with that, Blackstone was open to her more than it had ever been before. Yes, she had been in Blackstone before. She had been in Aiden's bed. She had thought she had his love. Until that pale, childish girl stepped into the picture. The air seemed to shiver faintly as she drew in a breath, savoring the scent of old stone and iron. Her smile widened, her voice no more than a whisper meant only for the empty hall. Blackstone will be mine. Oh, Aiden. Tonight they saw me. You hid me in the shadows, but they saw me. Her gown whispered as she turned, the emerald silk spilling like liquid shadow across the floor. With measured steps, she slipped deeper into the corridors, her laughter low, soft, curling like smoke as it faded into the silence. 1 foot in the door. That was all she needed. And she had it. And something else. The Crimson Waltz. The night belonged to Blackstone. The great hall had been transformed for the ball. Its vaulted ceiling glittering with chandeliers of crystal and iron. Hundreds of candles cast a golden glow, then mingled with the ever-present crimson moonlight bleeding through stained glass windows. Snow whispered steadily outside, but within, warmth and music reigned. Silks rustled, jewels flashed, and laughter twined through the air like ribbons of song. Lord and ladies, knights and courtiers, all had gathered in finery, eager to celebrate the reign of their new queen and her king. Musicians turned their viols and harps, their notes floating like smoke before resolving into a haunting waltz that seemed to curl around the pillars and into every waiting ear. And then the doors opened and Ella entered. The chamber hushed at once, the music faltering before swelling again. Reacher, Dipper to greet her. She was radiant, clad in a gown of white and silver, threads of crimson woven through its embroidery like veins of fire in snow. The fabric shimmered with each step, the train whispering across the polished obsidian floor. Her pale blonde hair flowed loose, gleaming like starlight, cascading down her back in waves. At her throat, a circlet of garnets, a gift from her husband, burned like captured flame. Ian escorted her, tall and commanding, his black attire traced with crimson and silver to mirror her gown. His storm-dark eyes never left her, and though the hall was full, it was clear to every soul present that his world began and ended with her. Together they moved to the center of the floor. The musicians struck their first true chord, and the Crimson Queen and her king began to dance. It was no mere waltz. Their steps were precise, fluid, hypnotic, as though they had been born to move together in perfect unison. Ella's gown flared with every turn, silver and white, flashing, crimson threads catching the light like droplets of blood. Ian's movements were steady, grounding, powerful, his arm firm around her waist, his hand guiding her with a lover's control. The music rose and they rose with it, twirling faster, spiraling across the floor until the rest of the world blurred away. Their eyes never left each other, hers glowing faintly with the remnants of power, his burning with devotion and hunger. The courtiers could only watch. Some sighed, oh, to have a man like Ian Blackstone. Others whispered, oh, to be as beautiful as Ella Snow. Many simply stared, transfixed by the sight of their queen and king moving like flame and snow entwined. The air itself seemed to shimmer around them, and the chandeliers above quivered faintly as if stirred by invisible winds. And then it happened, subtle at first, then undeniable. As Ian lifted Ella into a turn, she did not come down. Her body floated, rising just slightly above the polished floor, her gown billowing like a cloud of snow and silk. Gasp echoed, the music faltered, but Ian did not flinch. He held her steady, spun her once more, and together they continued the dance, as though flight itself was part of the choreography. Ella's hair lifted as if stirred by currents unseen, her pale strands glowing in the candlelight. Her smile was serene, her eyes alive with majesty, and the court fell utterly silent, spellbound by the sight. White, silver, crimson, power and beauty. The two moved as though gods themselves had written this moment. When the music finally stilled, Ian drew her close, his forehead pressed briefly to hers, their breasts mingling. She descended slowly, her gown whispering back to the stone floor as though reluctant to leave the air. The hall erupted in thunderous applause, the sound crashing against the walls like waves. Ella and Ian stood in the center, hand in hand, bowing with regal grace. And in the shadows, at the edges of the hall, Calitza Strathmore watched, her emerald eyes glinting with something that was not applause. Her smile was faint, secret, knowing, one foot in the door, and the night was still young. Calitza's vow. From the shadows of the ballroom, Calitza watched. The chandeliers blazed above, silver and gold light shimmering across marble columns, across silk and jewels, across the faces of courtiers entranced by their queen. The music swelled. The Crimson Queen spun in her gown of white and silver, her hair flowing like liquid frost, her hand in irons. They danced as if they were a single being, snow and storm, crown and sword. Calitza's lips curved faintly, serenely. Her expression was the perfect mask of admiration, even joy if people looked at her, as if she too were caught in the spell of majesty. No one saw the tremor in her jaw, the faint whiteness of her knuckles as she clasped her hands at her waist. Inside, her rage burned like an inferno. She remembered the night Aidan had drawn her to his chambers, his laughter warm against her neck as he undid the ribbon at her waist, his hand tangled in her dark hair. The firelight had painted his face in copper and gold, and she believed, truly believed, that she was to be the one, his chosen, the mistress who would become queen, who would stand beside him in Blackstone's eternal shadow. And then Ella Snow. The announcement had been made like a blade driven through her chest. She had given everything to Aidan, her body, her soul. And then he told her. He bounced out of bed, naked, stating that he would wed a pale girl from another line, a girl with hair like frost, a girl who had not fought for him, who had not bled for him, who had not given her body and her heart in secret. Kalitza had smiled then too, as she smiled now, but inside she had been splintering in half. Her love had curdled into loathing, her hunger into hatred for Aidan Blackstone. Her dark eyes fixed on Ella now, glowing faintly as she rose into the air mid-dance, the crowd gasping in awe. Kalitza's jaw tightened until it ached. And then came the second wound, the wound that never healed. She remembered the night of the beheading. The clans gathered in the great hall, the torches burning low, the crimson moon pressing close. Aidan dragged forward, his hands bound, his eyes wild with fury and disbelief. She had lived at Blackstone for that short time, had tried Ella's gowns, had felt that perhaps with Ella gone she could step back into that place. She remembered Ella draped in blood-red silk, her pale hair blazing like silver fire, standing before them all with a blade in her hand. Kalitza had watched frozen, her nails biting into her palms, and as Ella's arms rose and fell, the sound of the blade cleaving, the gasp of the clans, the thud of Aidan's head upon Blackstone. Aidan's blood staining the floor where he had once kissed her. That moment had broken her, destroyed her. Her heart had shrieked. Her love had shattered. And in the hollow left behind, vengeance had taken root. This was the night Kalitza Drathmore ceased to be a mistress, ceased to be a woman wronged. That was the night she became a shadow, a curse, a promise of ruin. And now, watching Ella ascend into majesty, watching the court bow to her in rapture, Kalitza's fury cooled tighter, sharper, until it felt like steel in her veins. Her smile never faltered, her beauty never cracked, but inside the bow thundered once more, as it had been every night since the blade had fallen. I will destroy you, Ella Snow. I will destroy Blackstone and everything that it is. She breathed slowly, deeply, the rage subsiding back into perfect stillness, a viper coiled and waiting. Her foot was already in the door. Now, all that remained was the strike. A dangerous waltz. The chandeliers blazed, their crystal arms dripping with light. The music swelled, the viols and harps weaving a haunting waltz that echoed through the vaulted chamber. Couples spun across the obsidian floor, their gowns and cloaks a storm of silks and shadows. Lilibet Blackstone moved like fire contained, her crimson velvet gown trailing as she glided at the edge of the crowd. Her eyes were dark with fury as she watched Maelor Vane and Nera turning together on the floor. His strong hand held her with an ease that should have been Lilibet's to claim, and Nera's cloak of crimson caught the light like flame. Rage flared hot within her chest, but she masked it with a smile, her lips curving with cold elegance. And then, May I have this dance? She turned. He was tall, striking, his bearing regal as if the air itself parted to make way for him. His hair was raven dark, his eyes a cool black that glimmered with both amusement and something unspoken. His attire was black, trimmed with midnight blue, embroidered with silver seagulls that whispered of old secret houses. He extended a gloved hand, poised, patient, confident. Lilibet raised her eyes. "And who are you?" she asked, her voice low, velvety, edged with curiosity. He bowed slightly, his gaze never leaving hers. "Lord Cassian Veteran of House Veteran. The borderlands are mine to guard, and tonight, if you will allow it, so is your hand." Lilibet's lips curved. She hadn't felt like flirting in quite some time. A flicker of intrigue brightened her grey silver eyes. A lord, she thought, with a name that tasted of still and shadow. She placed her hand in his, the brush of velvet against leather, sending a ripple of heat up her arm. He led her to the floor. The music carried them into motion, their steps folding together as though they had always danced. His grip was strong but not overbearing, and she quickly discovered that she enjoyed yielding to this man's lead, only to test how firmly he held it. "You dance well, my lord," she said, her lips close enough for only him to hear. His mouth curved. "I might say the same of you. I wonder, do you dance for pleasure, Lady Lilibet, or do you always have a purpose?" She arched one black brow, her eyes glinting. "And what if I told you that I have both?" He chuckled, low, warm, edged with something darker. His hand pressed more firmly at her waist. As he turned her, his breath rushing her ear. "Then I would say you are a dangerous partner indeed." "And you," she countered, tilting her head to study him. "What sort of partner are you?" "The sort," Cassian Veteran said smoothly, "who does not let go until the music ends." Her laugh was soft, sultry. As their bodies moved closer, their steps so in sync, it seemed less a dance than a seduction disguised as one. Heat coursed through Lilibet, her early fury and Nira and Maelor cooling into something sharper, pleasure, intrigue, the thrill of a game newly begun. Lilibet realized she was enjoying herself, enjoying the way he looked at her, the way he moved her, the way his words pressed against her skin like a caress. He would serve her purpose well on the floor, and if it kept on going in this direction, in her bedchamber. The music continued to swell, viols moaning, harps sighing, a rhythm that curled like smoke around the gilded chandeliers. Couples spun across the floor, but all eyes, sooner or later, were drifting toward the pair in crimson and black, Lilibet and Cassian. She moved with fluid grace, the crimson velvet of her gown whispering across the polished obsidian, her dark hair flowing like a river of midnight. She batted her lashes, licked her lips. Her hand rested firmly at her waist, guiding him through each turn with practiced authority. Yet it was not the dance that held them. It was the tension between them, a tether that tightened with every step. Cassian's palm pressed lower, pulling her closer, pulling her flush against his body. Her body brushed against his with each movement, the faintest contact sending sparks racing up her spine. She should have pulled back. She did not. "You are very bold, my lord," she murmured, her lips curving faintly as she leaned closer, her breath feathering against his cheek. Cassian's black eyes caught hers, their glimmer unreadable, dangerous. "I find boldness suits you, Lady Lilibet. Would you have me be gentle with you instead?" The music, the laugh was soft and sultry, a sound that stirred heat even in the cool air of the hall. "No," she whispered, "I would not." The music quickened, and so did they. He spun her sharply, catching her in his arms, holding her so close she could feel the strength of his chest against her, the heat of his breath at her throat. For a heartbeat, the dance became something else entirely. An embrace, a claim, a promise. She arched slightly into him, her lips curving in liquid delight. "People are watching us, my lord," she teased, though her voice was husky, betraying how little she cared. "Let them," Cassian replied, his hand tightening at her waist. "They should see how well we fit together." Her pulse quickened, raging nearer, and Maelor still smoldering in her chest, but it was cooling, transformed into something sharper, sweeter. As she looked into Cassian's dark, endless eyes, he would serve her well. Yes, she had decided. He would serve her well on the floor, in her plots, and in her bed. Already in her mind, she had painted the night ahead, the feel of his hands without gloves on her body, the press of his mouth against hers, the way his voice might break its careful restraint with the things she did. The music carried them into another turn, and his lips brushed close to her ear, his voice low and intimate. "When the music ends, Lady Lilibet, tell me, shall the night end as well? Or will it only begin for us?" Her lips parted, her gaze locked on his. She leaned closer, her whisper a blade wrapped in silk. "Oh, my lord, it has only begun." And still they danced, bodies pressed close, hearts pounding, the ballroom spinning around them as though the rest of the world were nothing but a blur of shadows. They were already plotting their moves in the game of power, and already imagining their moves in the dark to come. The choice. The ballroom shimmered with music and laughter, but Nira could barely hear it. She was trembling. The moment Kalitza had entered earlier, her body had not stilled. Every chord of the viol scraped against her nerves, every flicker of candlelight pressed too close. The sight of her queen dancing radiant with her king, the courtiers swirling, the air heavy with perfume and wine, none of it reached her heart. Nira's heart was gripped by dread. She leaned close to Maelor as couples spun past them. Her voice was low, almost broken. She felt as if she was going to pass out again. "I cannot stay. I must leave the bowl." Maelor turned sharply, his dark eyes searching hers. His jaw tightened, his hand steadying her trembling arm. "Very well, we leave." Nira took off across the ballroom floor, hurriedly made her way outside of the hall, taking in great gasps of air. "Nira, why won't you tell me everything? Why are you holding everything back?" What is your fear? Her gaze snapped to him, sharp and desperate, as they slipped away, further down the hall, past the towering columns and into a quieter corridor lit by torchlight. The music dulled behind them, muffled by heavy doors. Nira spun on him, her crimson cloak trembling against her shoulders, her breath quick and ragged. Why won't you tell me everything, Maelor? She demanded, her voice edged with anguish. I saw you with Lilibet in your camp last night. And just now, your eyes were on Lilibet when she was dancing with that lord. His eyes darkened, his lips parting, but she pressed forward, her hand striking against his chest. Do not lie to me, Maelor. Do not give me silence. Tell me, Maelor, do you want me? Or do you want Lilibet? You must choose, here and now. If you want her, I will be gone before your eyes blink. For a long, trembling moment, the world seemed to still. The torches hissed, the air heavy with unspoken truths, her heartbeat thundering in her chest. And then he moved. In one fierce motion, Maelor pulled her into a shadowed chamber, the door slamming shut behind them. The music of the ball was cut off entirely, replaced only by the sound of her breath, his breath, mingling in the heated space between them. His hand seized her face, his lips crashing down on hers with the ferocity of a storm. The kiss was not gentle. It was raw, brutal, desperate. His fangs grazing against her lips, his tongue claiming her as though he had been starving for her. Nira gasped against him, her body arching, almost collapsing, her hands tangling in his hair. And then she pulled him closer. The heat of his body pressed into hers, her back striking the cold stone wall as his mouth consumed her. Their kiss deepened, molten, and unrelenting, until she felt his knees, and felt his knees weaken beneath her. When he finally tore back, his chest heaved, his blue eyes blazing, his lips wet from her kiss. He kept her pinned against the wall, his forehead nearly touching hers, his voice a growl that trembled with both rage and devotion. Is there any doubt in my mind now what I want? He demanded, his words cutting and fervent. I do not want Lilibet. I want you. I have always wanted you. From the first moment I saw you in my tent, you witch, you were mine. Tears stung Lilibet's eyes, Nira's eyes, her lips parted, her body trembling, not with fear this time, but with surrender. She let out a shuddering breath, her hand sliding down to his chest, feeling the heat of him, the strength of him, and then she surrendered. She pressed her mouth to his again, softer now, but with equal fire, equal hunger. She melted into his arms, her body yielding against his as his hold tightened around her. In that moment, there was no throne, no court, no scheming queens or shadows waiting in the dark. There was only them, raw, burning, undeniable. And Nira knew with every shiver of her soul that Maelor had chosen, and he had chosen her. Fire and Shadows, the final chapter. The grand ball had dwindled to whispers and candle smoke, but in the highest chamber of Blackstone, the night was far from over. Before the roaring fire, Ian and Ella lay tangled in one another, their bodies slick with sweat and the glow of passion. The crackle of burning cedar filled the room, the golden flames painting their bare skin in shifting light. Shadows danced over the carved stone walls, echoing the rhythm of their bodies moments before. Ella's pale blonde hair spilled across the pillows like a silken river, her lips swollen from his kisses, her breath still uneven. Ian hovered over her, his chest heaving, his muscles taut and glistening, the scent of him raw and musky, mingled with her own perfume of roses and iron. Their hands had explored each other endlessly, desperately. It was as if they could not get enough of one another, as if the ball had been nothing but an unbearable prelude to their inevitable joining. He pressed his lips to her temple, soft now after the storm of their hunger, his breath warm against her skin. His hand slid slowly down the curve of her hip, anchoring her to him even in the afterglow. I believe, Ian murmured, his voice a low rumble laced with amusement, that the day went quite well. Ia laughed, the laugh slow and sultry, her hand sliding down the hard planes of his back, her nails grazing lightly, possessively. She tilted her head to capture his mouth in another kiss, slower, lingering, savoring the taste of him. When she drew back, her eyes gleamed with firelight and desire. Well enough, she teased, her lips brushing his jaw, though I think the best part of the day was after the dancing. Ian chuckled, pulling her tighter into his arms, their bodies molding together as though they had never been apart. He nuzzled her neck, his fangs grazing her skin in playful threat, though his kiss that followed was tender. I could not stand to watch you glide across that floor, beautiful and untouchable, without knowing I'd have you like this again. This is when you are most beautiful to me. When I'm naked, when you give all of yourself to me. No throne, no crown, no court could keep me from you. Ella's breath shuddered, her hands playing across his back, drawing him even closer. She whispered against his ear, his voice thick with devotion and need. Tell me, do you ever think about when we first met? Every day. We are endless, Ella Snow. They kissed again, deeper this time, the firelight flaring brighter as though it too fed on their hunger, their bodies entwined, pressing closer, the world outside their chamber forgotten. For this moment there was nothing but their skin, their breath, their heart, beating in tandem. But beyond the heavy doors of their chamber, the shadows stirred. Lilibet, crimson-clad, whispering promises of vengeance into the ear of a lord who would serve her well as she undressed in her bedchamber. Khalid Amor, emerald and dangerous, smiled her serpent smile, her vow of ruin burning hotter than ever. Two plots moved silently through the night, unseen and unheard. And in their bed of silk and fire, Ella and Ian lay together, blissful and unknowing, their love burning bright as the flames, while darkness gathered just beyond the light. We will end there for tonight. So glad you like it. What did you think? Is the plot thickening? Me too, Pastelina Pink. I am a romance girl. So glad, Tigger. It is fiction. Oh, I highly doubt it. I think at this particular point that Ella and Ian are only Ella and Ian right now. They don't want to think beyond that. I mean, she has the allegiance of her kingdom. She has her man. So, you know. I am already putting it into book form, yes. Well, I told you that I wrote romance before this. And then I wanted to put the element of fear and thriller into that as well. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Nana Sherry. You just got released from the ER. Are you okay? Good. Yes, I did. All of it today. Next Thursday. You're impatiently waiting for the rest. That is funny. Hey, Leslie Marie. Yep. Oh, wonderful. That's right. Don't forget. Sunday night, Cherry Hill. That's about to get really good. Oh yeah. Yep, I'm writing this as I go. Whether you know it or not, some of the parts that I put in tonight were just right off the top of my head. So when I'm writing a book, I see a scene. And my scenes are very vivid, very descriptive, and I try to present that scene to you exactly as I see it. So I'll see a scene and I start, telling it. Are you getting your bits filled, Melanie? Yeah, so that's just a little peek into my writing process. That's how I write every scene. It's as a scene, and and I can see it, just as clearly, and then I describe what I see. Good, Melanie, so good. What was it that we were going to put on the t-shirt, X? I miss my bits, or I need my bits, or something. It was so good. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Friday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, on YouTube, we are doing a 1-hour meet and greet. You can do whatever you want. You can ask me questions about Crimson Queen, Blood in the Snow, Cherry Hill, how far am I into that, whatever you want. You can ask me questions. So please come in at 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, and let's have a party on there. Oh, did you put it on there, Rex? I'm gonna have to check. I've been so busy this week. Oh, I'm gonna have to have one of those shirts. Exactly, yeah. Oh, I bet some women and men are going to be having some dreams across America. That was actually one of the scenes. Today, I was sitting there and I was writing, and it was the love scene between Ian and Ella. And I knew that this scene was going to come, that there was going to be a covenant that had to be between the two of them, him biting her, she biting him. But then I wanted to have it a little more powerful. And so then I just pictured them just floating up off the bed into the air, and I'm like, oh, I'm going with that. Like if I get cold chills, it's going to happen. You're going to hear it. Oh yeah, we have the Schmurder shirts, I think, that are on there. Pretty much, Angie. Yeah. I worked on it from 7:45 this morning until almost right up to 7:30 tonight. Thank you, Leslie Marie. X, we should have a t-shirt. I forgot what it is. Thank you, Pastelina Pink. I love your name. That name is just lovely. I love it. I picture ruffles and satin and bows and crowns. You ought to put Brain works her bits off. keep my bed soft for night dwellers. Oh my goodness. So, first published book, The Haunting of Hastings House. Wrote this in 2023. Since then, I have written the sequel to the second in this series, The Haunting of Keller Estates. My third book that I'm working on in this series is The Haunting of Doucette Hole. And then I've got my vampire series. And now I am working on Cherry Hill. So I'm working on 4 books right now. This one, The Haunting of Hastings House, when you buy a copy, same night, next night, I will autograph it live. So there you go. You think? Possibly. Oh, I'm so glad, Sally Ann. I'm so glad you loved it. That made my night. And there are some steamy scenes in The Haunting of Hastings House too. You know, Lulu, it's just, I just feel like I have different boxes. So, I don't know. It's just the way that my brain was made. I am just able to just multitask. I don't know how I do it, but I can be working, like I'm working on Crimson Queen right now, but in the back of my mind right now, while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking Cherry Hill. And then I'm also thinking The Haunting of Doucette Hole. I'm thinking, you know, so many different things. And then I'm already plotting my next series, which I'm not going to say, but it's coming, it's in the rears, and I'm starting to work on that too. So it's just my brain. It is my brain. And somehow I'm able to compartmentalize every part, you know, okay, this book here in this box, this one and this one, this one and this one, this one and this one. I don't know. I'm an oddity. I'm weird. Yes, definitely could have a Bryn's book club for sure. Yeah, I just thought, I know there are some people that, you know, they can only read one book at a time. They just cannot, you know, comprehend a lot of different plots. They don't want to mess up one book. I have read as many as 6 books, you know, in a space of time. You know, that doesn't faze me. I'm still able to focus on one book and then put that one down and pick up that one and get into that story and then pick up another one and get into that story. I am a manager at a bank, Lulu. So not only am I writing, but I'm also working at the same time. So, yeah. Thank you, Palm. Exactly, Leslie Marie. I get very sad when one book ends, so I just want another one to fall into. Because it's like falling into another world. You know, one moment you can be in a true crime, the next you're in a romance. You can be in Scotland in 1628. You know, that's the great thing about books. And yes, and then the stories for the rest of the nights, I'm also writing those as well. So that's true. Thank you. I don't know, Turtle Woman. I don't know. Maybe it's all the water I drink. I'm just, and I'm not saying this to try to sound arrogant or conceited or anything like that. I just know that I've got something that I've got to do and I get it done. I've just always been like that. I'm just very methodical. I'm very strategic. I'm a commander when it comes to that area. I just stay focused on it and get the job. I'm very methodical, very step by step, very by the book. Oh yeah, Rebecca Wolf, for sure. Yes, be tired for me. Not to say that I'm not tired, because I definitely do get tired, but I just have to keep going. Sometimes, I can go. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. Nana Sherry, you're sweet. They do. A lot of them watch. They don't, a lot of them watch. They don't like come in and actually join it, but they do watch it. All right, Shirley. Thank you for being a great night watcher. Thank you. Aw, thank you for the poll. Thank you. I love the Panther poll. Thank you so much. Roy Boy. Roy Boy, do you like scary stories? If so, what kind? I also kind of enjoy fiction night because after the story is over, I just like to have just a little bit of chat time with my night dwellers. No scary glowy eyes tonight. Do you really, Roy Boy? Well, that's good to know. Tomorrow night is the Wheel of Fate. So after the meet and greet on YouTube, then we'll come back in to TikTok and YouTube, and we will do the Wheel of Fate. Thrilled to hear that, Roy Boy. I love reading. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't able to read. I would feel like my arm was cut off. Yes, ma'am. I did, because at one point there, it was really itching because I have a fan up here blowing on me, and there was this piece of hair that was trying its best to get over there in that area, and I turned the fan off. I'm the same way. Same way. When I'm involved in a book, I'm involved in a book, and I'm going to be involved in it until it's over. Wednesday night is paranormal night, Angie. I do. I have had so many people question how that I work with these nails, but this is the thing. I tried to take them off and just try to, work without them. I can't do it. I've been wearing nails for so long now, since I was 14. So, yeah. So I have to have nails on. If I try to type without nails, it's just a mess. I sure do, Jackie. I've had them even longer than this, actually. I've had them longer. This is about as long as I can go, though, to not hurt myself. Oh my goodness, Angie. That sounds good. Oh yeah, these are dangerous. These are very dangerous. I woke up, I think it was Tuesday night, in the middle of the night, and I was reaching for something. I think my watch was still on or something, and I was reaching around to do it, and I clawed my neck with one of them, and I was like, ouch. Thank you, Rhonda. I love them too. I'll probably be switching them out tomorrow. It's a miracle that I haven't. I did poke my eye one time with a nail. The worst part for me about it is trying to put on jewelry, especially necklaces or whatever that doesn't have the fish hook. Forget me trying to put a necklace on with just a regular hook. It's not gonna happen. Can someone put that in the story submissions for me? Yeah, I will tell that one, Angie. Yes, and that's what I've got to get. That is the answer. I just have to have ones that are magnetic. Thank you for mentioning that, by the way, Palm. That is exactly what I need. And then the other is trying to get earrings in. Love you, Jackie. I do, Truckers Tony. Yes, I do. I read quite a few short stories from Stephen King. In fact, gosh, I've read a lot, haven't I, Night Dwellers? Pet Cemetery. I've got one on the Wheel of Fate for tomorrow night. If the Wheel of Fate lands on that, then I'll be telling one of those again. I love Stephen King. All right, Rebecca Wolf. Love you. I did Pet Cemetery, Graveyard Shift, Silver Bullet. All right, everyone. Hey, Cruella. All right, everyone. I am going to toddle off to my crypt. Yes, Angie, it is so fun. Carrie, I did Carrie. I did a lot of Stephen King. Good night, Kelly. All right, so tomorrow night, I'm going to say it again. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, we're going to do a meet and greet on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I did Misery, yes. It's free. You can subscribe. And then we'll come back in tomorrow night at 8 o'clock and we will spin the Wheel of Fate and see what stories it decides I tell. Two stories. All right. Love you all. See you tomorrow night. Most welcome. I don't think I've ever told Needful Things. That's another one that I need to do. If you just came in, a true crime from Virginia. Okay. Send me a message in Discord, and I will start looking on one from Virginia. Good night, Leslie Marie. Love you all. Good night, Lulu. And if you are just coming in, we're getting ready to go off the live, but be back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, for Wheel of Fate. Let the Wheel of Fate decide the stories I tell tomorrow night. Love you all. I think the screen's prettier on YouTube.